declare soft faults, we need to set to send the exception over the other language like Java. So we are going to use the declare soft faults in our demo that is mentioned here. So one more attribute called FaultContract is required in our demo, in our program, so that we can explain that we can tell the Java client that our contract is generating some error, our operation is generating some error, and then we can catch it in the other language also. So let us quickly create one demo in WCF service library, file in project, C#, Windows, and we can select WCF service library. Let's say it's a fault demo. Click on OK. There are two files mainly. There is iService1, there is service1, as you are aware. Now iService1, we have the one function. Let us create one function simply, which is an integer division operation. We are going to do the division of two numbers. Simple operations we are going to discuss right now. We may discuss complex later on. As it is a operation that we are going to expose to the client, we should declare it as the operation contract. Data contract is not needed in this program, so let us remove it. Done. Let us keep the service as I new service. That's a contract, that's interface. Let us give the name of the service as a new service. This. Remove it. Now your interface has become IDIV service. Yes, that's fine. Remove the code inside it because we are going to implement our own function. We have to remove it. Implement the function called return number1 by number2. Now what happens if number2 is 0? If number2 is 0, then what happens is that it will return the error, but exceptions are it's an exception, but exceptions are not directly visible to the client, as well as exceptions cannot be handled by client directly. So exception we need to send it to the client, and client will handle the exception. So one more thing we need to write on the top of the function, that is your contract is a declared soft fault, as we have discussed in this theory. You should declare it as a fault contract. Your operation is returning the integer as well as it returns the exception. So it's a fault contract. So declare it as a fault contract. One more contract, fault contract. Now fault contract, it expects you to have the class, so in which you will describe about the error details. So create one more class called public class fault. That's a division fault. Let us quickly create two properties. You can have more. Public string error message. Whatever the message you want to display to the client, or you want to send it to the client. Public string reason, or you can have one more thing. Reason we are not writing right now. Let's say integer public int code. That code we will set. So here default class we have declared here. That should be declared here. That should be specified under the FaultContract attribute, so that client will understand which class is having the error detail for exception details. So on client side we need to use this. So let us pass it. It requires you to have the type of the division fault. That's it. Now let us implement the function. It is already implemented, but we need to write the related code in it. So first is, as we have written the error, you can use alternative methods in this. So let us modify this code. Instead of writing number 1 equal to number 2, what we can do is that if number 2 equal to 0, there are alternative methods. You can use try catch and you can do it. Like you can write try catch here, and then you can send the fault exception details to the client. That is an alternative method you can use. Any one method will work. Let's say right now I am writing if condition. You may put it in a comment. If number 2 is 0, what we are going to generate? We are going to create the exception fault exception class object. So we are going to create the object of fault exception, which is generic. What to pass in as a generic, that is default we need to pass. So this object we need to pass in the fault exception class. So default division fault, yes, FE is equal to new fault exception division fault. In constructor you may pass the object of default class, object of this class. It requires you to pass this object here. Mind well, not class but object. So first, before writing this, we need to also write or initialize the default class, that is division fault. df is equal to new division fault. Now one more thing is required, as we are passing this to the client. It is a complex, so whenever you are writing a complex type, on the top of the division fault class we need to write data. Another thing is, whatever the member you want to serialize, that should be mentioned as data member. So let us complete that, then again move further. Okay, done. Now initialize the member of df dot error code, that is error or code. Define your own code that is on client side, you can have a track of it. -888, let's say it's a code, it's an integer, so let us remove the brackets. df dot message, which message you want to display? That is divide by 0. That is done. Now that object we already created, so this object is required as a parameter in this class. So what to write here? We need to specify that object in this parameter. So let us put it here. That is df, done. Now throw this exception to the client, so that now who will handle the exception? Client will handle the exception. So throw fe. It's done. And then you can return the number 1 by number 2. If there is an exception, if number 2 is 0, it will not going to return this. It will not going to return this. It will return the exception. And then this exception will be handled by which class? That is FaultException class, if your client is a .NET client. So let us test this first in your configuration editor, in your WSF test client. But to do that, we need to change the name of two files, that is contract and service name. So service name is now, it's not a service one, it is new service. So remove the, means replace it by new service, because by default it's a service one. Your contract name is iDue service, instead of iDue service it should be due service under the contract element. Now let us test this. Okay, let us rebuild it. Yes, here it expects you to have one more bracket. Now it is completed. Let us run now. Number 1 5, number 2 let's put 0. Now see what happens. Okay, it will throw the error, as you can see. as this is a test client, we have not handled this exception and we have not hosted, but in test client we are checking the error. So once we host the service and once we create the client, we can handle this exception. So right now, just in this video, we are going to deploy, we are going to create this service. In next demo, we are going to host this service and we are going to create a related client, and then we will see how it will work. So we will create the client in .NET. After that, we will create the client in Java, and because of the FaultException class, it will provide the interoperability, and we will be able to easily call the same exception in Java also. Thank you for viewing this video.